doing, y'all? How we feeling tonight? Good to hear it. Good to hear. Welcome to SongwriterTX, the June edition, y'all. I want to introduce our guests tonight. First of all, in case you can't read the sign, just right here, we got Helene Cronin. Any of y'all had the opportunity to hear Helene perform around the area? There you go. Look at that. So she got first mentioned to me several months ago when my friend, who happens to be sitting in the theater right now, Julia Hatfield, former guest of SongwriterTX, said, you need to check out the music of this gal named Helene Cronin. And I said, okay, I'll check it out. And I was like, yeah, she's going to be on the show. We're going to get her. And so then at some point down the road, I was talking to Scott Sean White, who's next to Helene over here. So that's our other guest here, Scott Sean White. And we were talking about him being on the show, and I mentioned to him, like, man, if you have somebody that you want to, pair up with for your show, like, let me know, and maybe I can, just arrange it that way. And he said, well, I do a lot of shows with this lady named Helene Cronin. And I was like, perfect, good, boom, I don't even have to do the work. So here they are. They do a lot of shows together, y'all, and so a lot of times our guests are kind of strangers. They get to meet each other, shake hands, and like, hey, looking forward to hearing your music. They probably know more of each other's music than they even care to hear, so here they are. Honored to have him, and of course, my esteemed co-host over here, Boone Holding. Yep. Love having Boone with us here on the show. I want to say a quick thanks to Jam Broadcasting and the RockBox Theater and our friends with Fbg.Live, who are running the cameras right now and capturing video of this magical night. So without further ado, I want to say Mike Starks, our sponsor, our show sponsor. He's your go-to guy for anything you'll need, commercial, residential, or ranch real estate, man. He loves what we're doing down here at the RockBox Theater, huge supporter of local community events and the arts, and so he doesn't like crowds, so he doesn't come, but he likes to have his picture here. So, and we'll wrangle him one of these days, but we love what they've done for the show to help us keep this out for y'all and keep it free for y'all. So, and of course, thanks to you guys for coming every month. We just love having y'all. So let's get into the music. I know that's why you're here. And so we have y'all can rock, paper, scissors for who plays first, but here's what I want y'all to just introduce yourselves. No fancy questions first round. Tell the folks a little bit about where you come from and maybe when you started writing music and why you write music. And try to do that in like 30 seconds or less.
The 30-second elevator pitch. My name is Helene Cronin, and my husband and I live in Dallas. I have been going to Nashville for about 21 years, back and forth, and for the last 13 of those years, it's been every month. But in that time, while I thought I was writing for famous people, I ended up just writing a bunch of songs that express my heart. I started writing songs in college, and I've never quit.
Yeah.
And I've worked for Remax. I've done all kinds of other things, but it's songwriting that keeps me grounded and these kind of nights that make what I do come alive. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm kind of always, it catches my attention how many songwriters also do real estate. It's like, I mean,
I had to give it up.
You kind of got to do something.
I had to give up making money for.
I'm glad you gave up the real estate part for the songwriting part.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, there you go. What did you sell, man, before you were selling songs?
Well, now, let's not get into all that. There's nobody need to know my criminal history or anything like that. I'm just playing. I grew up down the road in Kerrville, Texas, and don't hold that against me. And moved to the Dallas area when I was about 16, and me and my wife live in Poetry, Texas now, in East Texas, about 45 minutes east of Dallas, and I go back and forth to Nashville 2 weeks a month. I started 1 week a month back in 2005, so this is also my 21st year of doing that. Had a couple of publishing deals up there, and same kind of thing. Went up there just trying to write songs for other people. And along the way, collected a bunch of songs that meant something to me, so I started putting out records.
Yeah. I think one of the things I love about our guests tonight and having both of these folks is that we've had folks who are SongwriterTX guests that are totally like the road warriors. I'm going to sit there and play every pizza joint and corner bar that I can and just get my songs out there to the world and grind. And then we've had some guests who are like 100% like I sit in writing rooms in Nashville and try to churn out, songs that people will record. Y'all are kind of a cool balance of the two because y'all play a lot of shows together. You get out into venues and share your songs and your stories, but you're also experienced songwriters who have sat in rooms and learned the craft. I think that's going to be a real magical chemistry for us tonight. So that's my setup for y'all. And let's get a first round clocked in here and let folks hear what y'all sound like. Who's going to start? Scott, are you going to take away the...
I can start.
All right.
Give Helene the closing spot.
There you go.
I'm a big fan. I'm going to play a song that is not out in the world anywhere. It's pretty new. We wrote it 8-9 months ago. Me and my friend Casey Timmer. I was thinking about it on the way down here for a different reason. I listened to a sermon on a podcast. It was just great. It's one of the best sermons I may have ever heard. And I accidentally said the title to this song after I listened to that sermon. I said, man, I needed that today. You ever said something like that? You ever had a bad day? Got a little something you needed? Me too. I was tired as hell this morning. A cup of coffee got me going, yeah. I needed that today. And I was running more than a little late. Then I hit every green light on the way, yeah. I needed that today. Then a song came on just like that. I turned it up and it took me back. I was singing that thing at the top of my lungs. I know it might not sound like much, but I needed that like a drop of rain falling down on a desert plain, like a little bit of wind when the water is flat, catching my sail. I needed that like an out of the blue hallelujah, like heaven sneaking in, talking right to you. It's been a little while and I gotta say I needed that today. Swung by the store on my way home, ran into a friend, ain't seen in so long. Man, I needed that today. Then I walked out, topped off my gas, saw a bumper sticker on the back of a beat-up truck that said shit happens. I don't know why, but it got me to laughing, and I needed that like a drop of rain. I'm falling down on a desert plain, like a little bit of wind when the water's flat, catching my sail. I needed that like an out of the blue hallelujah, like heaven sneaking in, talking right to you. It's been a little while and I gotta say I needed that today. I needed that today. I didn't get 2 steps in the door before you found me. You didn't even have to say a word. You just wrapped your arms around me. And I needed that like a drop of rain falling down on a desert plain, like a little bit of wind when the water is flat, catching my sail. I needed that like an out of the blue hallelujah, like heaven sneaking in, talking right to you. I don't know how you knew, but I gotta say, baby, I don't know how you knew, but I gotta say I needed that today. I needed that today. Thank you.
Today. I needed that
we
today.
all did, yeah, man.
That was great. Beautiful.
What a great tune. And that's a kind of new one, huh, Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
We haven't even demoed that yet, so.
There you go. SongwriterTX audience right here. You get it first. All right, Helene. Well, there you go.
There I go.
You got the show. You got the spotlight.
Well, thank you so much for having me out tonight. Scott and I do a lot of shows together. We also travel and do our own shows, but it's always fun to. I always say I have the best seat in the house when I get to sit up here with him, and I'm proud to be up here with him.
We've done a lot of life together.
We have. Well, I'm going to play a song that was the title track to a record I put out in 2023. I grew up on Long Island, and like they say, we made it to Texas as fast as we could. But while up there, we spent a lot of time on the water. My dad had an old cabin cruiser that he refurbished, and coming from a family of 5 kids, it was rare to get time with one of my parents alone, but I loved it when my dad and I would go out on the boat, and he would let me steer, and I'd pretend I was navigating this big thing, but he would be pointing things out on land, and he would point out what kind of bird we were seeing, or what the name of an island was that we were passing, or what the buoys meant, and it took me being an adult to think about that memory, and I took that memory into my friend Ava Page, who at the time was 16, and she's a writer in Nashville, and I told her about it, and fortunately she had a dad who took her fishing too, and I said, I think my dad wanted me to know where I was in the world, but I think he also just wanted to be sure his kids could find their way home. Father used to take me fishing, set off early in the morning with him, a bucket of minnows and a couple of poles. And he'd say, see that beach, remember that island, that water tower, that line of pines, we don't need a map to get to that fishing hole. And those are the signs that'll guide us home. When you get away from what you know, feel a little lost and a lot alone. If the water's deep, the waves are getting high. When all you want to do is turn around and retrace your steps to solid ground, you can find your way back from wherever you are by looking for the landmarks. Well, he was full of that kind of wisdom. I should have spent more time listening before I set my sails, untied the ropes. 'Cause I went so far out, lost sight of shore. Winds came up, blew me off course, ended up somewhere I never meant to go. When you get away from what you know, feel a little lost and a lot alone. If the water's deep, the waves are getting high. When all you want to do is turn around and retrace your steps to solid ground, you can find your way back from wherever you are by looking for the landmarks, by looking for the landmarks, like that welcome home front porch light, the Bible verse that comes to mind, the call from mama asking, where have you been? Memories that make you turn around and retrace your steps to solid ground. You can find your way back from wherever you are, no matter how far, by looking for the landmarks, by looking for the landmarks.
Beautiful, man.
I bet that's singing.
Yeah.
You know, I remember back when Boone and I were first sitting down and kind of talking about how we're going to reformat the SongwriterTX show for the RockBox Theater and a live audience and stuff like that. And Boone brought a lot of cool energy to revive the things we were trying to do with the show. Well, one of the things that he brought up and we talked about was that we would create a show where it didn't matter if you knew the names of the artists on the bill or you'd never heard of them before, that y'all would trust the show to have quality. You know, we wanted credibility just for it being what it is. So you walk in, you're like, man, I know it's going to be good, and if it's somebody I've never heard, like, I'm going to be a fan. And we've really fought for that and worked for that. And I love nights like tonight because whether y'all know Scott and Helene previously, I know that y'all hear these songs, you're like, wow, well, geez, how does it get better than that when it comes to songwriting, you know? So that's what we've tried to do, and that's all on y'all. You know, you come in here and you play these tunes for folks. So that was a beautiful way to open things up. So let me ask a quick fun question. We'll get into another round here. You know, for both of y'all, songwriting is really your deal. And I had Scott on the radio show that I host here in Fredericksburg earlier today, so I got a chance to kind of dig in a little bit to who he is, and kind of really looking forward to hearing what Helene has to say about some similar things. But even just talking backstage, like, neither of y'all have like thrown yourselves out there to be like, I'm going to be the person who's filling up the main stage at Steamboat or something like that. You know, y'all have geared yourself towards listening room kind of venues, made commitments to yourself to not play places that don't kind of honor who you are as songwriters and performers. In other words, forcing, you know, a square peg into a round hole when it comes to being a musician, which a lot of us do. And I do, and it usually results in frustration and discouragement. Like, this isn't working, you know? And I would just love y'all to speak to that a little bit about the journey to sort of stick to who you are and how it's worked and not worked, like to just be the songwriters that y'all are and stay true to it, you know? So it's not a question is an open, you know, just love to share some of your experience on what that's looked like for you.
You want me to go first? Yeah, because he'll say all the good stuff and there'll be nothing left. I actually, when I have interviews, I will say songwriting is what brought me to the stage, because I never grew up wanting to be on stage. I wanted to be invisible. I didn't want people looking at me, and I didn't want to have to open my mouth in front of people. I would never raise my hand in high school. I mean, I was that kid that just felt insecure. But I began writing songs, and then I was like, okay, how is anybody ever going to hear this song if I don't play it? So I would play my guitar really loud and I'd sing really quietly behind it. But the cool thing about growing up and growing into who you think God has designed you to be, and this is what I think God has designed me to do, is to bring my thoughts to the world and my messages, and yet not preach at people, but to have something to say. There are plenty of people that do get into this business because they want to be on stage and they want to be a star. And it's taken me a long time to just go, you know what, this is who I am. I'm going to bring everything that I am. I'm going to be as real as I can in front of you. I'm going to tell you some of the stories that we write are made up, and some of the songs are just gut level honest. They are our true life stories. And I love, there's nothing I like more than a night like tonight where I know people are listening, and I don't have to fight a TV screen in the background. I gave up singing in restaurants a long time ago because I am not background music, I guess. Yeah. It's just the way to put it. I don't do well with that. But I'm very grateful for the platform that I do have. And I often will tell, like, I'll book a house concert and the host might contact me ahead of time. Well, we only have 20 people, or we only have 25. And I'm like, you know what, I don't really care about the number, because I know whoever is supposed to be there is going to be there. And that has taken a lot of pressure off as because when you're not very well known, which I am not very well known, it takes pressure off the host, and it takes pressure off me of having to draw people, and is a venue going to book me when I go to a town where nobody knows me? Yeah. But I just show up, do what I do, be authentic, be me, and I just am finding that God blesses that.
Yeah, I love that. That's a hard answer to beat right there, Scott.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's great.
Should put you in the fire.
I'll just take a little different route, but we both have talked about this a lot, and it's kind of the foundation of what we do and how we go about it. And I really didn't grasp it until I made my first record of my own during COVID, and I put it out in the world. But while I was making that record, I constantly had this voice in my head saying, be you, be you, be you. And that voice has stayed in my head ever since. And I've discovered that, and I think it is true really for everybody, your best chance of having success, whether it's Nashville or your own thing or both, your best chance of having success is being completely you. You are the best you that has ever been made. A friend of ours, Terry Joe Box, said to me one day, you're the best Scott Shawn White that has ever walked the face of the earth. Nobody else does exactly what you do the way you do it. And it is challenging in our business, especially being part of the Nashville machine, because that machine wants to pull you every direction. It wants to pull you to radio, and it wants to pull you to this and just a million ways, especially if you're trying to be an artist, which neither of us are trying to do the Nashville artist thing, but those kids that are trying to do that, man, Nashville goes, we love everything about you, sign this record deal, and now we want to change everything about you.
Yeah.
That's what happens. And the ones that go, look, I'm going to be me, to me, those are the ones that are generational icons. Eric Church, Miranda Lambert, Tim McGraw, George Strait. They're like, I'm going to be me, and y'all deal with it. So anyway, that would be my somewhat answer. I didn't even forget what the question was, but that's what it made me think of when you asked the question.
But the cool thing is finding out that there's room for people like us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
there's an audience.
Yeah.
There's a need, actually.
I think there really is. And Scott and I were talking on the radio show today about how songwriting has become, here in the last decade or so, it's like if you're a songwriter, singer-songwriter, you have to write these gut-wrenching kind of like bearing your soul kind of stuff. I think a lot of that's because people in the world kind of feel like they need that. Yeah. Like they need to know they're not alone more than ever. And so they connect with a venue like this where they can kind of feel like, man, I really got something out of who that person is, not just a catchy hook. We all still love catchy hooks. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think we kind of hunger for something like this a little bit more than maybe we once did, So, yeah. Well, let's do another round, real folks. Then I'm gonna kick it over to the Boone there. I know he's got his wheels churning. So
I have nothing, man. I'm absorbing the information here. Yeah, y'all are great, both of you.
Well, thank you, and thank y'all for being here tonight, and thank you to this beautiful venue for hosting this. This place is amazing. This
they make
song
the
is on,
seats more comcomfortable. It's just the cushion.
This song is on my newest album. I played it on the radio today, and I wrote this with two of my friends, Adam Wheeler and Ben Roberts, about 3.5 years ago. We were at Adam's publishing house to write that day, and Adam was stuck in traffic, real bad traffic, trying to get to Music Row, and so he was about 45 minutes late. And it was a beautiful day outside, so Ben and I just outside in the parking lot catching up on life. And that day, catching up on life meant that Ben was telling me he was just a few weeks out of rehab, trying to save his life and save his family. And by the way, he's been clean and sober ever since, 3.5 years so far, I think. And yeah. And he told me the whole crazy, heartbreaking but beautiful story about all of it, and particularly the part where his parents pulled in the driveway about 30 seconds before he was going to make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And he always says when he tells the story, he goes, my parents lived 4 minutes away, not 5. Because if they had lived 5, he wouldn't have made it. So anyway, he tells me this whole story, and Adam drives up and has no idea what we've been talking about. And because he's so late, we just walk right into the publishing house and pretty much get straight to work. And Adam goes, I got this idea called pulling weeds. And it's not all Ben's story, but Ben's story found its way in there. And I know it's a whole lot of it is my story, our story, I think everybody's story, because I don't know about you, man, I sure do spend a lot of time and energy on things I shouldn't spend my time and energy on. Talk radio, talking around my way. Says the world's gone to hell, think I'm done with him. Cell phone ringing at my kid's ball game. Hold the side button down till I see the light fade. I'm pulling weeds, one at a time. Anything that shows the light out of who I wanna be. Gonna plant new seeds. But first things first, get my hands down in this dirt before the roots get too deep. I'm pulling weeds. Getting mad about things that don't matter that much. Carrying around that heavy old grudge. Worrying about what other people think. Yeah, it's all gotta go so my heart can breathe. I'm pulling weeds, one at a time. Anything that chokes the light out of who I wanna be. Gonna plant new seeds. But first things first, get my hands down in this dirt before the roots get too deep. I'm pulling weeds. Goodbye fear, goodbye doubt, and things I can't do a thing about. Goodbye guilt, goodbye shame. It's time I make a little space and say hello to grace. I'm pulling weeds, one at a time. Anything that chokes the light out of who I wanna be. Gonna plant new seeds. But first things first, get my hands down in this dirt before the roots get too deep. I'm pulling weeds. I'm pulling weeds. Pulling weeds. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to play the song that introduced Scott and me. It was 2005, and I was just beginning my trips to Nashville, so I was kind of a baby songwriter in Nashville terms. I've been writing since college, and I'd put out 3 Christian records, but I hadn't really figured out how Nashville does things, so I started going to Nashville. I'm going to keep this a little shorter than usual, but I had been invited to a workshop where there were 3 publisher types, and I had, by invitation, been singled out to come to this thing, so I had very, very high expectations that this was going to be where I was going to be discovered, or I'd get a publishing deal, or I'd have all these open doors next time I went to Nashville for my continued journey. And none of that happened. I played stuff that wasn't ready for them, or wasn't ready for Nashville. It's just they weren't developed ideas. I could have played stuff that was developed and that was demoed, but I played these kind of not so great songs. So all the doors I thought were going to open slammed shut. In my despair and my discouragement and my feeling of I'm mad at I just blew this opportunity. I went to the airport about 3 or 4 hours early, and I got a standby ticket to fly home and get the heck out of Nashville. And while I was in that line, there was a young man in uniform next to me in line. I had never spoken to anybody in uniform before. I asked him, hey, how are you doing? Where are you going? He said, well, I'm headed back to the Middle East. And he said, well, where are you headed? And normally I would say Dallas or Texas, but I didn't. I hung my head and I said, well, I'm going home with my tail between my legs. So he had 2 words for me. The song is going to tell you that part of the story. But it's the song that changed my life, speaking of the journey of a songwriter. If I hadn't gotten my tail kicked at that workshop, I never would have gone to the airport with the attitude that I had of humility and discouragement, and man, I just blew it, and yet here's a guy going to do something much bigger than me. It took me a couple of years to sit down to write the song, and that's when I realized, I wasn't in Nashville that weekend to meet those men. I was supposed to meet that kid on his way to Iraq. I'm going to send this out to my friend Mike Cerny tonight. A song that changed my life. Soon after I demoed it, my sister put a video together and put it on YouTube. And I got to go sing it for the Houston Texans football team at the invitation of the Kubiaks. Somebody there knew Mike Huckabee personally. A week later, I was being flown to sing it on national TV. I've since been able to sing it for Medal of Honor events. The places this song has taken me and the impact that it has had is way more important than any publishing deal ever would have been. I stood in line beside a soldier at the airport ticket counter. We were catching flights in Tennessee. We made a little easy conversation. I asked his destination, another tour of duty in the Middle East. Then he asked me where I was headed to. When I answered home, he just said, "Lucky you." And I thought, lucky me. He's right, I sleep in my own bed at night. I got everything I need and more. All that he gave up to wear that uniform. Lucky me, while he fights a war, I live the life he's fighting for. He is the brave, I am the free. Lucky me. Oh, I stood there silent, and all I heard, echoing from his two words, were all the things he didn't say. That he's lonely and scared and battle-scarred, family back home praying hard. He never knows if he'll see another day. But he held up his head and he looked me in the eye. And right there in those two words, I could hear a soldier's pride. And I thought, lucky me, he's right. I sleep in my own bed at night. I got everything I need and more. All that he gave up to wear that uniform. Lucky me, while he fights a war, I live the life he's fighting for. He is the brave, I am the free. Lucky me. I tried to thank him before we parted ways, but the best I could do was a tear rolling down my face. Lucky me, that's right. Freedom comes at a heavy price, and we don't all pay our equal share or know what it's like over there. Lucky us, the ones at home, while others go to the battle zones. They are the brave, we are the free. Lucky you, oh lucky me. Lucky you, lucky me.
That's my friend. That's my friend. What a song.
Thank y'all so much.
I've heard that thing hundreds of times, and it still makes the hair stand up on my arms.
Oh my gosh.
So did the soldier ever get to hear that song?
I doubt it. I think he was out of Fort Campbell. I know. I went back through all my records after the song kind of got out there and started going on YouTube. And I went through all my checkbook and my calendar and my flights, and I figured out exactly what day it was that I flew. So if somebody ever came up to me and said, I was shipped out on this date, and he's tall and blonde, I'll know it's not him. He was actually kind of short and dark. But I do know the date, and I would absolutely love to meet him if
That's wonderful.
if he's made it.
Yeah.
Great job. Great story.
Doesn't even know what he did.
Exactly. I don't know if that's, either way the story went would be beautiful, but it's yeah, it's phenomenal. And doesn't
Thank
know
you.
how he impacted so many lives,
No, with just 2 words that
Yeah.
turned my
Right.
little selfish head around.
Well, since we're talking about publishing and we have y'all here, they don't get to hear it from us too much, but y'all know more about this. So, like if you're signed to a publishing deal, I know there's different levels to this, but what is sort of the process of a writer? Like what's your lifestyle like? If you're just a writer, you're signed to a publishing deal, what does your life look like,
You want me to start?
Yes.
Hell no. I'm just
I
kidding.
only had 1 publishing deal.
Well, I mean, even in times we haven't had publishing deals, in Nashville, our life looks like we have a publishing deal because you're booked, whether you book yourself or if you have a publishing deal, most of the time your publisher's booking your appointments or a lot of them for you. So you generally have a writing appointment at 10 or 10:30 in the morning. Often you'll have another one at 3:30 or 4. I know both of us, because we don't live there, we very often have 2 or 3 appointments a day. So we'll make an appointment, 10 or 10:30, a 4 o'clock, an 8 o'clock sometimes, and at least work on 3 songs that day with 3 different sets of people co-writing. And so you write the songs, the ones that your publisher loves and you love, although you loving them isn't as important as your publisher loving them. They get demoed, which means you take it in the studio and they have a full band do it, which that's about all to go away because there's AI that does that now, but it's a whole different story.
So that's what a demo singer is, or a demo band.
Yeah, exactly.
They just cut
And
demos.
they demo it, and then they take that. They're trying to make it sound like it belongs on radio already, which those demos are amazing.
Yeah.
Those bands up there are crazy. And then they go pitch it to the heads of the labels, the A&R people, the managers, the artists, if they know them, and try to get the song recorded. So.
Yeah, and I guess so. Did that when y'all started? You went to Nashville with. You said like having this mindset. Do you think that that crossing into the industry side of it, did it take away from your, the spiritual side of writing at all? Did you have to balance that out at some point, or learn to work with that?
Well, I have a friend who says about me, I've done house concerts at her house over and over, and she says, Helene doesn't write ditties. And it's probably sort of true. I mean, I can write a commercial song, and I have. I mean, we wrote one called Throwing Things in Bars that was actually true to life, but it was totally a fun song. So I do write fun stuff. I do write for that market. I do write commercial, sometimes nonsensical stuff. But most of what I write, even if it's kind of fun and upbeat, there's going to be some little piece of something I feel or think. And that most often is, I talk about what I bring to the room in writing sessions and co-writes. What I bring to the room is there's going to be a commitment to the lyric, making sense top to bottom, and writing and the songwriting to the hook, but also that there's going to be some kind of heart in it. And that's not something you plan. It just comes out of who you are. And so I think who I am is in the songs that I write, and I don't have to force it.
And it was always that way, even when you were in it,
Yeah, I mean, even with a publishing deal, sometimes we'll talk about there's a thing that you do, like there's a thing that Scott does when he's in the room that it's the same thing. The lyric is going to make sense and it's going to matter, and there's going to be some fun little hooky things in there. And so we all have things that we do. I think what I bring to the room is sometimes depth, and sometimes I should probably be more funny than I am deep.
I don't funny.
I heard
I'm usually unintentionally funny, and we're not going to go into those stories. But
you have a wonderful way of words. I mean, honestly,
Thank
really, just even in your introduction of songs, your
Thank
way
you.
of introducing them is very, very high level and interesting. I think, yeah. So, y'all can play another song on that. I just think that it's interesting. Somebody once said, and I don't know if they were joking about this, but they said, in Nashville or as a songwriter, you write 10 songs for the industry and 1 for you. But you don't seem to take that theory at all.
No, but I don't have a publishing deal, so I don't have anybody there's nobody in Nashville looking for somebody like me, except my writer friends, and they love to book me. But there's not a publisher, there's not a record label, so I get to just go be who I am and bring what I am. And I had another friend who brought in this really heavy idea one time, and she wanted to write about this little girl in Tennessee who had disappeared, and she goes, I don't know, it's really kind of a heavy song. And I just said to her, I ain't scared of heavy. And we wrote that song that day. And so to have a reputation like that, I will go deep with you if you want to go.
Yeah.
I will take as long as the song needs. If we don't write it in 3 hours, that is kind of the Nashville thing. I'll come back a month or two later when we can, and we'll keep chipping away at it. So
yeah,
it's a
heavy
commitment to
needs
the
a
song.
home too, you know, right?
Yeah.
It all does. And Scott, and do you, that quote, like 10 songs for the industry, one for you, do you take that on at all, or do you just?
I don't worry about it at all. I'm in a lot of rooms with writers that are signed at Sony and Warner and stuff. I mean, so their whole thing is, hey, let's write something for radio today. And I'm fine with that. Both of us love songwriting. And I think we love the puzzle so much. So the puzzle is what enthralls me, is a big part of what enthralls me. So if the puzzle is trying to put something together for Florida Georgia Line that day, I just want to put together a really cool puzzle.
Yeah. I love that perspective, man.
You know, if it's something that's going to go on Helene's record or my record, it's a different kind of puzzle. But I just want to put together a really good puzzle, and I just love it. So I'm good with all of it, and I don't worry about it. I just try to write the song that is in the room that day.
I was just about to say that. See?
Yeah. The song dictates pretty much everything, especially for us. Like, the song is first. We don't care about how many lines we have in it, any of that. There's no ego about it, because all we want to do is write the best song we can possibly write. And the good news is we fail 95% of the time.
Yeah. And are still successful, so that's great.
So, yeah. Okay, so I'll play this here. This is going to be on my new record. I wrote it with my friends Barrett Weber and Terry Joe Box. Barrett had a show in Marion, Arkansas about 10 years ago on a Saturday night. Sunday morning, he headed to Nashville on the bus, headed back home. And as they're leaving town, Marion, Arkansas is not too far from where he grew up in West Memphis. So as they're leaving town, they kind of drive not too far from Barrett's old church where his dad was a preacher for 15 years when he was growing up. And they see the church steeple, and Barrett tells his tour manager, he's driving the bus, he goes, man, that's where my dad preached for 15 years when I was growing up. And the only thing that was in that church more than me in that 15 years, being a preacher's kid, is that old piano that's in there. And he said, man, if they ever sell that thing, I'm going to buy it. And that was Sunday morning, and Monday morning he had a writing appointment with me and Terry Joe Box. And he walked in, and he told us the story I just told you, and he said, man, can we write a song about that piano? You know, all the things it's played for, funerals and baptisms and weddings, all this stuff. And we were down for it. And all he had was a title, Piano for Sale. And 4 or 5 hours later, we walked out with this. Piano for sale, best offer. Printed underneath the weekly prayer list. It's my first time back in this church in forever. But I'll take it no matter how much that is. It's just a beat up, upright old banger, made of maple and brown sugar pie. But there's pieces of me in those ivory keys, and every song that's ever changed my life. 'Cause he played Yes, Jesus Loves Me when I learned I could sing. And just as I am on the day I believed, oh, here comes a bride when she walked down to me. It is well with my soul when we let mama go. Piano for sale, soul. You never told anybody about all those nights when I'd sneak in and play honky-tonk songs, or all my white gods and empty church confessions. So load it up, I'm taking it all home, 'cause they played Yes, Jesus Loves Me when I didn't feel loved, and just as I am, and I wasn't good enough. Oh, here comes a bride, the best day of my life. It is well with my soul when we let mama go. Piano for sale. It is well with my soul. Oh, and sing me back home. Piano for sale. Soul. Soul. Yeah, it's sold. Sold. Thank you, thank you.
Some great singing yourself there, man. Nice. Beautiful. Good stuff, man.
That was a good day.
Let's do one more round
Time.
after this one as well. You got, so you're doing one, and then we'll do another
Okay.
round. real
All
quick.
right.
Yeah.
I know we're talking a lot, which is a luxury.
They're kind of fun to listen to, though, too, aren't they?
They seem to have a way with words.
We've been practicing.
I was scrolling through I'm going to do a song that Scott and I wrote together. It's one of our early ones, and it's on both of our records. We both recorded it on, I put it on my 2019 Old Ghosts and Lost Causes, and you put it on Call It Even, right? It's a song that matters that much to us. But I was scrolling through Facebook, and I saw a heartwarming story, and it had a hashtag, humankind, and it got me thinking about that word and how much we need kindness in the world. And there was a way I wanted to twist the word humankind, though, and so I knew to take it to Scott when I want to do something kind of difficult. I know that he will hang in there with me and write it with me. So my daughter was a hospice caregiver for 7 years. Some of the things that she had to do helped me understand what those folks do and the kind of job they have, and so we incorporated some of her details. We got a verse and a chorus written, and then we got back together. And I said, Scott, you have a story from high school. Why don't we use your story for the second verse? And he never introduces the song that way, but I do. So I like to say it's a song that maybe started from a hashtag, but it's got a little bit of made-up stuff and just a whole lot of truth. Because we need each other. He's an old man, a hard man, can't hold on to nothing, not his razor, not his temper, not his tongue. She's a young nurse, a sweet girl, comes in every morning, makes his bed, shaves his face, cleans him up. She's been there 3 years now, ain't seen one of his kids ever come around. So she drives in on her Sundays off to play a game of gin and take him for a walk. And for a little while he forgets to be mad. The hurt goes away, and the lonely fades with just a smile and the gift of a little time. Nothing eases human pain like human kind. She's the new kid in a new town for the third time in 2 years, and high school can be cruel when you're different. And he can tell when she walks in, she's a trust nobody who could use a friend. He takes the seat beside her no one wants to take in the lunchroom. That's a pretty big thing. And for a little while she forgets to be scared. She remembers for a minute what it's like to fit in somewhere. The hurt goes away, and the lonely fades with just a smile and the gift of a little time. Oh, nothing eases human pain like human kind. And it don't take much to help someone, to save someone. 'Cause for a little while we forget to give up. We remember what it's like when someone walks this road with us. The hurt goes away, and the lonely fades with just a smile and the gift of a little time. Nothing eases human pain like human kind. Like human kind.
Wonderful.
Great song.
Thank y'all so much for being with us tonight. Before we do an intermission, I want to get one more round from them, so I'm going to skip questions and just let them do another round. Instead, I'm just going to real quick say a thank you to one of our in-kind sponsors here, who is sort of the unsung heroes of SongwriterTX. But Fbg.Live, y'all, they show up to every one of these shows and set up a bunch of stuff. And then they take these shows and record them, and they put them out there in the world on YouTube and give these artists a copy of one of their songs, and it's a huge gift. And Paige Finley, who started Fbg.Live several years ago here in Fredericksburg, is just one of these guys that loves to do something to help. And he's come to me a couple of times in life and said, "Man, I want to do something with you. What do you got?" And I'm like, "Man, I don't have any money, Paige." And he's like, "That's fine. That's cool. What do you got?" And somehow I got him roped into this thing, and he's been stuck with it ever since. But the first time he came and helped me out, Paige has 24 kids, and I'm lying about that, but it's somewhere in that ballpark.
I didn't know if I was the only one that caught that.
I was gonna say, how many wives?
And every single one of them has worked for him at some point. He had a good strategy. He's like, I'm going to build an army and then make them work for my business. And so he showed up at my house and recorded a video for me years ago, and we've been friends ever since then. But I just want to say a huge thank you to Fbg.Live for being here. And they're such a great resource to our community. It's not just SongwriterTX. They put out the videos of city council meetings and school board meetings and any of the local events like the parades. If there's an important meeting, they're there. And then on a personal level, you know, they've allowed streaming services for people's personal events and all sorts of stuff to get whatever they need to get out to the world. So I just want to say a really huge thank you to them for all they give to us.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, and then let's just do a song. I'm not going to ask a question. I just want to, before, we'll do an intermission then, y'all, and we have the guitar case out so that y'all can bless these songwriters with any gifts you'd like to give them to go home. Anything that goes in that guitar case will go 100% to them, not to the show, just to them. So it's out there and ready for y'all. Please don't roll out of here during the intermission because they apparently have some kind of choreographed dance thing they're going to do the second half that y'all want to. You don't want to miss it. So make sure you stick around for the second half. But y'all, let's give them one more song before they take a break here.
You'd be surprised at his moves.
No, you would not be surprised. This song is from my first album. If it was me, and I'd have had to watch that boy take his first drink back behind the barn when he was just 15, I'd have took a deep breath and shook my head. If it was me, and through the years I'd have seen him lose most everything. His wife, his kids, his job, his dignity, in a whiskey flood. I'd have thrown my hands up and said enough's enough. I'd have turned my back and walked away, left me to drown in my mistakes, wash my hands of it all and just let me be. But thank God's not me. If it was me, that guy would have never got a second chance to crawl out of that bottle, walk like a man, be a dad again, the one he should have been. If it was me, I'd have locked him out of that church down on Elm, where he started to face his demons and forgive himself when he hit his knees, begging, Father, please, can you hear me? I'd have turned my back and walked away, left me to drown in my mistakes, wash my hands of it all and just let me be. But thank God's not me. And I know that there will come a day when I walk up to those pearly gates and look at me and we'll both know that if I was him, I'd tell me exactly where to go. And I turn my back and walk away, leave me to drown in my mistakes, wash my hands of it all and just let me be. But thank God, I thank God, God's not me. Thank you.
Great.
I like to say some of us have yesterdays that were a little bit heavy. We need to lay them down. Easier said than done sometimes. you go, pulling up stakes, pulling away like you always do. You start running, but you can't outrun what's pressing on you. You keep taking yourself and dragging your pain wherever you go, taking it out on everyone who tries to get close. Why you gotta hold on to the past? Don't you get tired of the weight of all that? All the done wrongs and might have beens you carry around. That bag of old rocks you keep digging through, you gotta bury it or baby it'll bury you. Yesterday's heavy, lay it down. Ever wonder how it'd feel to lie on your back and watch clouds in the park? Fly your heart light as a kite up there with Orion and Mars. You've lived through some things I know no one should ever live through. Makes it hard to believe that the whole dang world ain't stacked against you. Why you gotta hold on to the past? Don't you get tired of the weight of all that? All the done wrongs and might have beens you carry around. That bag of old rocks you keep digging through, you gotta bury it or baby it'll bury you. Yesterday's heavy, lay it down. Yesterday's heavy, lay it down. Why you gotta hold on to the past? Don't you get tired of the weight of all that? All the done wrongs and might have beens you carry around. Yeah, me and tomorrow been waiting on you. Baby, you got better things to do. Yesterday's heavy, lay it down. Yeah, yesterday's heavy, lay it down. Lay it down. Lay it down.
Helene Cronin, y'all. Scott Sean White, y'all listening to SongwriterTX. Let's take 10 and go refresh your drinks. We'll be back here in just a little bit for more tunes from these folks.